Good morning. It's 9 o'clock and we are calling to order the Planning Director's hearing of July 13th, 2022. My name is Robert Manford and I'm the hearing officer for today's agenda on behalf of and delegated by the Director of Planning, Building and Code Enforcement, Mr. Christopher Burton. This meeting is being held via Zoom conference call due to the COVID-19 crisis. Members of the public may participate by following the instructions listed on page 2 of the agenda. If you would like to provide public comments, you have two methods to identify to do so. One, for participants who joined electronically and have audio input available on their computer or smartphone, they can use the raise hand feature in Zoom during the agenda item that they would like to speak to, or click *9 on their phone. Please remember to keep your raise hand feature on until planning support staff identifies your turn to speak. During the meeting, please call 408-535-3505. Again, the phone number is 408-535-3505, or email planning support staff at sanjoseca.gov. Again, the email address is planning support staff, which is one word, at sanjoseca.gov. And identify your name that is listed on Zoom, phone number that you like to call into Zoom with, and what item or items that you like to comment on. All members of the public will remain on mute until the individual identifies they would like to speak and they are unmuted. Planning support staff will identify you by name when it's your turn to speak. At that time, you will be unmuted and can provide comment for the allotted period of time. If you exceed your allotted time, you may be muted so we can move on to the next speaker. Please note the following. I will identify each project as described on the agenda. For those items listed on the consent calendar, I will ask if anyone wishes to speak on the item. If a separate discussion is warranted, I will move the item to the public hearing portion of the agenda. If a separate discussion is not needed, the item will remain on the consent calendar for approval. For those items listed on the public hearing, I will ask staff to provide a brief report. The applicant or their representative who wishes to speak on the item will have up to 5 minutes to speak and should identify themselves by stating their name for the record. After the applicant or their representative has spoken, any member of the public who wishes to speak on an item may provide testimony for up to 2 minutes per speaker, either for or against the project. All speakers are required to state their name for the record. Following comments from the public, the applicant may make additional remarks for up to 5 minutes. I'll then close the public hearing and I may ask staff to answer questions, respond to comments made by the applicant or the public, or further discuss the item. I will then take action on the item. If you challenge these land use decisions in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city at or prior to this public hearing. The planning director's actions on the agenda items will be final when the permit is signed and mailed, unless the permit or the environmental clearance determination is appealed. The planning director's actions on the permits are appealable in accordance with the requirements of Title 20 of the city's municipal code, which is the zoning code. The planning director's actions on the environmental review for permits under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, are separately appealable in accordance with requirements of Title 21 of the city's municipal code, which is environmental clearance. Before we begin, I want to remind members of the public to follow our code of conduct at meetings. This includes commenting on the specific agenda item only. Public speakers will not engage in a conversation with the hearing officer or staff. The hearing officer, staff, and the public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Repeated failure to comply with the code of conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, may result in removal from the meeting. This meeting of the director hearing will now come to order. So we'll begin today's order of business with the matter of deferrals. Any item scheduled for hearing this morning, for which deferral to a future meeting date is being requested, will be moved to this portion of the agenda and considered on the matter of deferrals. I do not see any items listed here under deferrals, but I will ask staff or the audience if there is any item on this agenda that would be requested to be deferred. Support staff, do we have any hand raised regarding the matter of deferral?
I am not seeing any, hearing officer.
Well, thank you. I'll wait for a few moments. So hearing or seeing none, the matter of deferral is now closed, and we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the consent calendar. There will be no separate discussion of individual consent calendar items, as they are considered to be routine and will be considered in one action unless an item is moved to the public hearing calendar for separate discussion by the hearing officer. The public may comment on the entire consent calendar and any items removed from the consent calendar by the hearing officer. If you wish to speak on one of these items, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or click *9 to raise a hand to speak. There are 3 items on the consent calendar today, and I'll go through each one of them. Item number 3A, H21-037, ER21-131, and T22006. It's a site development permit to allow the demolition of an existing single-family residence and detached garage, the removal of 4 ordinance-sized trees, and the construction of 3 attached townhouses, and a tentative map to allow the subdivision of 1 lot into 4 lots on an approximately 0.18 gross acre site located on the southwest of Park Avenue, approximately 125 feet southeasterly of McHenry Street, specifically 1945 Park Avenue. And this is within the City's Council District 6. Staff recommendation is the consideration of the SEQA exemption and approval of the site development permit and tentative map. The other item is item number 3B, SP 19008. This is a special use permit to allow the construction of retaining walls up to 8 feet for a future single family house and removal of 1 ordinance-sized tree on an approximately 0.98 gross acre site located on the north side of Sky View Drive, approximately 310 feet easterly of Sierra Road, specifically 0 Sky View Drive. And this is within the City's Council District 4. Staff recommendation is the consideration of the exemption in accordance with SEQA and approval of the special use permit. The third item under the consent calendar is item number 3C, SP 21-042, ER 21-292. This is also a special use permit to allow the demolition of all existing buildings on sites totaling approximately 8,560 square feet for the development of a 115 space parking lot on an approximately 1 gross acre site located at 1586 Industrial Avenue within the City's Council District 3. Staff recommendation is the consideration of the addendum to the 1605 Industrial Avenue redevelopment project mitigated negative declaration in accordance with SEQA and approval of the special use permit. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to any of these items under the consent calendar? We do have 3 items, 3A, 3B, and 3C. Does anyone in the audience or staff wish to speak to this, the consent calendar items?
Oh, shit.
Support staff, do we have anyone in the audience who has raised their hands? Or has anyone contacted you?
Hearing officer, I'm seeing no hands and have not been contacted.
Thank you. I'll wait for a few moments. So hearing or seeing none, all 3 items under the consent calendar are hereby approved. And these are item number 3A, H21037, stroke ER21-131 and T22006. Item number 3B, SP 19-0. And item number 3C, SP 21-042, stroke ER 21-292 are all hereby approved. Thanks, support staff, for showing that on the screen. And then there are no items under the public hearing And so this brings us to adjournment. This concludes the planning director hearing for July 13th, 2022. Thank you very much for coming, and please be safe out there. This meeting is adjourned at 9:10 a.m. Thanks again.